You never know what someone's going through in their day to day.
I need to block this out. You lose yourself, but then you become the person you didn't want to become.
I truly believe in people. I think people can do a lot of good when they're offered the opportunity.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Loft. Paige is next to me today
I'm back.
because we have two very special guests today, Taylor and Nick Dipasquale.
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 Are you actually kidding me?
We just
See, I feel like he gets nervous about it too, and then he goes...
Because I'm notoriously bad with names. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really bad with names.
Sorry, I'm a pre-K teacher.
You could just
all
say
my
Dip.
kids' last name.
Yeah, everybody knows us by the Dips.
Taylor and Nick,
Oh,
Taylor
wait,
and
I
Nick
like
Dip.
that.
I like that way better. Way better.
We'll do that.
That's pretty sweet.
It's a lot
So,
easier.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to have you guys on.
These are
Same.
pissing me off.
What
I can't see.
But thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you for having
No
me.
problem. Thank you.
Real excited.
You are a breast cancer survivor
Yes.
and advocate, and you are the biggest support system in your life, arguably, right?
My biggest.
try to be.
Yeah. Next to my mom and
So-
my
Yeah,
kids.
Yeah.
You know, just like addiction, you know,
Support system's huge.
support
It's so
system
big.
is
It really
huge.
is.
Yeah.
No matter what the context is, you know, support system's huge. So I wanted to thank you guys for coming on once again, and I wanted you to tell your story because I think it needs to be told. When you reached out to us, I looked into it and I thought it was great. I want to hear about your story. What do you also have what's the MU?
So it's a colon rectal cancer mutation.
Right.
So it's MUITH. And I only have a half marker for it. So to get colon rectal cancer, you need both. It's a genetic part in your body. So to have colon rectal cancer, you need both parts of the genetic. I only got one.
Yeah.
But I was having some issues, and just recently I got tested, and all came back good. So
Right.
Yeah,
And-
you sent us that text message. It was such like a
Yeah.
breath of
Yeah,
fresh
that
air
was
when you were
huge.
like, everything's
Yes.
good. I was like,
Yes.
oh God.
Congrats.
yeah,
God.
because I don't know
Congrats.
what I would do if I had
Yeah.
to go through another.
I come
Yeah.
in the back
Cancer
room
round.
where she was at after her procedure, and all I hear is the word cancer, and I'm like, and she's crying
Oh, I
hysterically,
just got chills.
and I'm like,
It was.
what are you talking about? Then I walk, and then she's like, I don't have breast cancer, or I don't have colon cancer.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
I get
that's
to,
gotta
Yeah,
be
I get
such
to
a...
live life with my babies.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was worried about because like my Braden had to go through all that. Like he was only 2 at the time when I got diagnosed,
Right.
so he didn't really understand much of it. But like not being able to pick him up, not being able to really like cuddle on him and love on him when I wanted to. It was hard. So I didn't want Savannah to go through that either. When like she's a miracle in and of itself. Like I necessarily what shouldn't have and maybe couldn't have got pregnant after breast cancer because of chemotherapy and all the stuff that I'm on. But once we got pregnant with her, it was like a dream come true.
Yeah, and to be healthy, and have her be healthy.
Absolutely.
The entire time she was great. I mean,
Right.
I'm just like
And that mutation attacks your DNA, right?
Yeah.
It attacks like the whole system in itself, right? Mm-hmm. So I kind of want to go back a little bit to when you first got the news of when that happened.
yeah. So I'm actually gonna go backwards a little bit more. It all started back in 2012.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was a senior in high school and used to go tanning a lot. And came home one day after tanning and about to get in the shower, and inside my bra was blood. So I was
Wow.
like, what is that? So I ran down to my mom. I was like, there's blood, like my nipple's bleeding. And so I messed around with it. Some pus came out and stuff. So it was really weird. Went to the breast cancer surgeons and everything. And they're like, we're just going to see what's up. We're just going to go in there, do a little, some surgery and see what's up. And I was like, all right. So what happened was they said it was no cancer at the time, but they had to remove all my milk ducts from my right breast. So they told me right then and there, you can't breastfeed off of that breast. So I was like, okay, no big deal. Let's fast forward to it was February of 2018. Again, getting in the shower and doing, a self breast exam, kind of just washing around
Making
or whatever.
sure it's good,
Did
yeah.
you become more cautious about that after you had? Yeah.
Not really.
Okay.
No, I guess, I'm kind of thin. I
Yeah.
am thin, so I can feel a
You're
lot more.
definitely
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I can feel a lot more things, under the skin than maybe some other people can. So it was just easier to
Yeah.
feel that when I was in the shower that day. Didn't think anything of it because then again I had issues in the past and they were nothing. So I was like,
Yeah.
I felt like a dime sized, hard little rock. Didn't hurt, nothing. So I was like, whatever, I'll just let it go. So then May comes. The thing was like the size of like a golf ball.
Got
I was
bigger,
like, I was like, this is way too fast, way too soon that it grew. Let's go. So I ended up getting a lumpectomy, which they just took the whole tumor out. It ends up being it was a tumor. So they took it out. They said they were going to send it to pathology. At the time that I had my surgery, my husband over here was in Lithuania for the Marine Corps.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So I
Keep
actually
getting jealous.
had my lumpectomy on my son's second birthday, June 11th, 2018, and he was away in Russia. So
I had no clue that.
Were you
Wait,
keeping
I knew that
this
she was
from-
going
Hold
through
on,
the
hold on.
procedure. Yeah, let her.
yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So I wake up for my procedure, everything's fine. He is over here sending me pictures of, would you make a cornbread cake with
Yeah, it was-
ketchup or jelly? And it said,
it was
happy
Braden's
birthday,
birthday.
Braden.
Oh,
So like,
that's
I
awesome.
woke up from surgery to that text message,
Oh my God.
you know, like waiting to see if I get told I'm having cancer. They're like, oh, you got to wait. But I'm like, you know, crying and everything because I'm like
Yeah.
just so upset. Like I had
Super
no one
emotional.
around.
Yeah.
Like, so he was gone from the beginning of June till the beginning of July, pretty much. And so the day after his birthday, June 25th, 2018, my husband's birthday, they called me around 6 p.m. I think it was like a Tuesday night or something. And nonchalantly, they're just like, hey, so, you know, it's breast care surgeon or whatever. And they're like, you have cancer. Like straight like that.
Just cold.
Just
Do you,
cold.
do you
hard-
remember the feeling that
the
you had?
feeling? I remember where I was, who was there, like just everything. I was in my basement. My brother was across from me. My mom and her boyfriend were in their room, and I was just watching TV and just a random phone call. And I think I immediately blacked out. I believe. You know what I mean? Like you get,
Yeah.
You get in those moments.
it's like I'm 24 years old. Just like at that time when I first got diagnosed, we were just engaged. Like we weren't even married yet.
Oh wow.
So, you know, 24 years old with a 2-year-old, just engaged, still living with my parents at the time. Like, what? Like, I had no idea what to think, what to do, what was next.
You were healthy before that, right? Like,
Yeah,
there's
like,
no real
I mean,
issues.
To the most part, I had a couple surgeries. Like, I had an ovarian cyst. I had lumbar surgery because I have scoliosis. I have hyperthyroidism. I have a lot of medical issues.
Been through a lot.
Yeah. You know, a couple miscarriages and stuff like that. So,
I'm so
but-
sorry.
it's okay.
Oh my gosh.
But before the cancer, like, yeah, I mean, pretty healthy
Right.
for the most part.
And then, how long were you guys together before you went into the military, or before?
So I graduated. When did I graduate? Boot camp.
2013, yeah.
So a couple months after I got back from boot camp.
Yeah, we weren't
got back
together when he was
Yeah.
in the Marine Corps. We actually went to high school together, and that's how we met.
But we were together like my whole Marine Corps career.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then so I mean, I can only imagine, like, when you found out the news, what was like?
So
It
the
was a
day
total shock. It was.
Yeah.
I kept
She-
it from him. So every time I talked to him on the phone,
Oh my God.
I kept it from him.
Yeah.
How?
So she
how
knew
did-
for like probably a good 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and then
Like-
she told my buddies about it.
I told everyone else. He was
And
the last to know.
yeah,
Oh
because she
my
didn't want
God.
me to get
Because
like my mind
how
off
am I
mission and all
supposed
that.
to tell him when he's 1,000 miles away in a different country doing his training and stuff he's supposed to do? Like, he's not gonna be able to focus. He's gonna be worried about me. He's gonna want to come home.
Right.
Like,
That says a lot
and
about
I'm
your
okay,
character
right?
and your
And I'm
strength.
okay. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I was okay at that point. Like, he didn't need to come home. Yes,
Right.
yes, it's cancer, but am I immediately dying? No. He didn't
Right.
need to come home at that point, and I didn't want to make him feel that way, being so far away.
right.
So he ended up getting home earlier, like a couple days earlier. So immediately I you know, book it down to Allentown, and the whole time in the car, I'm like, all right, how do I do this? I'm like talking to myself because like I just had no idea, like how he has no idea.
You don't know what his reaction is going to be, or
None.
I hop out of my buddy's truck because I was waiting with him in his truck, and she pulls up alongside, give her a hug and kiss, and like, tell her I miss her and all that. And then I hop in the car, and then my buddy pulls away, and then she goes, I have breast cancer.
Yeah, I kind of just
And I'm
said
like-
it.
just said it.
I didn't know what to do at that moment.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Just as shocked.
yeah, literally. I'm like, are you serious? Like, are you fucking with me right now?
Yeah.
But
This is not a funny joke.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't mess around with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well,
we have Braden at home. Like this is
Right.
serious.
right.
But
And what were those few months post, like, finding out, like, what was going through, like, what was happening? What was that process that you had to go through? I can imagine.
So
like,
it was a lot, and it was fast. I had no time to think about anything.
Did they tell you about the severity of it immediately?
No.
Okay.
They looked more into it, took apart my tumor, kind of looked into what exactly, like, so, like, the cancer was there, but we didn't know if it spread. because like they didn't look
Right.
into my lymph nodes yet. We didn't get to do anything. We didn't even know what my plan was going to be. So, but as soon as you get diagnosed, like they play no games. Like you're in 17 different appointments.
That's insane.
And they like it's one right after the other.
It's exhausting.
It's god awful. It really is. So I had to get a mammogram, a ultrasound, an MRI. They all looked great. So that was good.
Good.
Then I had to, get some blood work, set up all my stuff from the hospital because I had to stay 3 days after my double mastectomy, which I was able to choose whether I wanted a double mastectomy or not. So they were like, we can just take the tumor out and you can leave your breast tissue and everything. And I'm like, nah, get rid of it. Get rid of all of it. Like, I got a kid at home. I want to live my life. I'm 24 years old.
You're so young.
That's so young.
Like, it was ridiculous. So ends up being, before I did my double mastectomy, I ended up having stage 1 ER/PR positive, HER2 negative, papillary breast carcinoma. So I'm gonna go into
That's
a little.
crazy.
I was gonna say for the simpletons like myself.
Yes.
She sounds like a
so-
doctor every time she says it.
So
She's
stage
educated,
one,
right?
Yeah, she is.
stage 1 is stage 1. So it was grade 3, meaning it was close to being stage 2. So think of it as grade 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Right after, so 1, it's kind of there. 2, you're getting there. 3, it's about to move on to the next stage. So I was right there, moving on to stage 2 when I caught it. So ER/PR positive is estrogen and progesterone. My cancer feeds off my hormones.
Okay.
So our lady hormones, the stuff we go through when we're going through our periods, ovulating, all that fun stuff. My cancer fed off it, and that's why it grew so quickly.
Wow.
So
I never knew that.
yeah. HER2, I always get messed up on this, but it's something inside your body, and you don't want to have it. It makes your cancer worse, pretty much.
Right.
And mine was negative. So my actual diagnosis, papillary breast carcinoma, it is a 1% chance that postmenopausal women get this breast cancer. Out of all the people that are diagnosed.
Right. What? Yeah, that's insane.
1%.
It's insane. You're that 1%.
And I was 24. I don't have menopause. I'm not 50.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
That's gotta increase the shock value.
That's what I was.
on it and
That would be
everything,
my
too.
leading question too. Like, so did the doctors tell you the average age that women usually get breast cancer? Do they?
So
tell you
it's
that?
mostly, it's usually in their 40s, 50s. I went to Holy Redeemer for all my things, and I was the youngest patient that my oncologist took care of. Everyone else there was, older and everything, but it's usually, 40 to 50-year-olds that get diagnosed with breast cancer. But since being diagnosed, I've come across so many young women my age who are going through the same exact thing.
Right.
You start to find your community.
The same
Right,
exact
exactly,
thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I didn't know that until I started searching around. And there's a lot of people out there that don't know that people this young that are moms, parents, doing daily, normal, young adult things still go through these things.
Did that aid in the, I would say, you feeling more comfortable and having more of a support system?
Yes.
How important was that to
Yes.
you?
So I actually found a nonprofit called the Breasties. They were my saving grace because beforehand I knew no one. I knew of a lot of older women, but I thought I was the only one in Philly that had breast cancer at such a young age.
right.
Lo and behold, I found this community, and there is thousands of women in this community with ovarian cancers, breast cancers, so many different, hormonal cancers, and they just come together and they just uplift you and support you. What was it? May of 2019, we went to Henrysville, and it was a big camp. It was called Camp Breasties. So we had thousands of women, and we just got together, did pretty much stuff like this, talked.
That's amazing.
Meditation. There was a lot of arts and fun stuff, and I met 2 of my best friends there.
That's amazing.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
2 of my best friends there.
You
That's
guys,
great.
you guys still communicate today?
Oh
You
yeah,
guys
the
are-
one lives in Doylestown.
Oh wow.
She practically lives in my house.
Yeah, she just walks in.
she walks in whenever
That's
she
all
wants.
She does.
She asks me
She's
when I'm
the
making
greatest.
dinner.
And then I have my other friend Montana who lived in Maine, moved to Florida, but we talk every day, and I'm trying to make a little plan to go see her soon.
That's amazing.
But it's
That's
really
great.
it's really
That's like-
before I found that community, I was down in the dumps. I didn't know what to do. And now, since I found them and I realized how many other young people are out there, that's why I wanted to come on here. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I wanted to get out here and do
That's
that.
amazing.
That's why we do what we do, because you have no idea who that can touch.
None.
Yeah, and,
None.
And you reaching out and being strong about it and just being so open made it very easiest for us to just be like, dude, like, yes, let's schedule this. Let's get her here.
Yeah.
What was the conversation like telling Braden and Savannah? Well, I guess Savannah's super young, but like telling Braden who can kind of understand.
So Braden was 2 at the time of diagnosis. When I had my double mastectomy, he knew he wasn't allowed to jump on mommy. Mommy couldn't pick him up.
Yep.
Mommy had a bunch of pillows around her. If he wanted to lay on mommy, he had to lay on pillows. Like, it was a lot of him sitting on the couch and me and playing in that way. He didn't really understand. When I had to go through chemo and I had to shave my head, he noticed it, but it didn't bother him. I was still mom.
Yeah,
Without
it
hair.
didn't phase him. She was still his mommy.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like with
Forever.
hats, with scarves, with hair, without hair, I was still his mom.
100%.
How was that moment for you?
Shave my head.
It was harder for me, I think,
That
because I was shaving her head.
Probably,
Oh my God, I'll cry.
that was probably the worst part, I guess, about the cancer.
Right.
It sounds weird, but
It's sort of the
I don't know. Your hair is just something it's important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, without having that, I felt like I was going to walk around looking sick. Like, people were going to look at me and be like, she's sick.
Right, and they're gonna look at
She
you
has
differently.
cancer.
I think it's the symbolism behind shaving your head that is very powerful and important too, and it kind of is like, in a way, you doing that and shaving that just shows how supportive you are of her, and it's you know what I mean. And
He let me shave his right after, so.
Yeah,
And my brother shaved theirs as well.
I was gonna let her
so.
go through it without having somebody with her.
And he kept shaving it. As every time his would grow back.
I think Braden shaved his head too.
Oh
Braden
my
was
God.
2.
He probably did. Yeah.
My brothers, everyone just jumped in there. And
Yeah.
I mean, everyone said I looked good, but I didn't feel good. You know what I mean?
And you, as a woman too, that's a piece of your identity.
Very
so
big.
I feel like, as strong as you are, like, that's a very eye-opening experience to be able to take a step back and be like, this is real.
And I did it on my terms.
Yeah.
I did it before I did chemo because it was long. I cut it short and I rocked the short do for a little bit, and I knew I was going to lose it anyway. And I was just like, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Why? So I can wake up and just have my hair fall out of my head or have it on my pillowcase. No, I just, he shaved it off for me, and then I shaved him, and it was hard. It was hard.
Can you kind of go through your perspective of that standpoint and everything, and what that really felt like for you, and how you combated what you were going through?
What, everything that, like, all the breast cancer, everything
Yeah.
she was going through? It was tough. I knew I had to be strong for her. I had to be strong for Braden, and you just literally have to be there for the person who's going through it, because the first time she ever went through it, she doesn't know what she's going through. I don't know what to expect. I only know from older grandparents and family members who had cancer, but this is completely different. She's like 1% in how many was it?
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. It was, you literally just have to be strong.
I didn't
That's-
really see him. He never broke down in front of me.
I
He
tried,
never.
I tried not to break down in front of her. I tried to just be strong for her. But I remember the one car ride. It was you were going through chemo. Remember when you got the infection in your mouth?
Yeah.
She got an infection in her mouth, so she was in the hospital, and her white blood cell count was like
0.07.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I remember taking Braden back home, and then him asking, like, "Where's mommy? Where's mommy? What's going on?" I'm like, "You gotta stay with Bobo." That's his grandma.
It calls her Bobo.
Aw.
I'm like, "You gotta stay with Bobo. We're gonna go back to I gotta go back to the hospital with mommy." But I remember that car ride back. I'm like, "What the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
this is like why?" And I just like broke down.
being that support system, and having, you kind of mentioned like your family being super together. What's something good that came out of all of this?
Oh God.
Because obviously fuck cancer, but
Do you
like,
think that you
Obviously.
guys grew closer too because of it?
Our relationship? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Because I had to be very vulnerable. You know what
Absolutely,
I mean? Like,
and that's hard.
I
he
saw her
had
at her
to-
worst moments, and
He had to get,
And a
in
lot of people,
areas, you know what I mean?
cannot handle that.
No.
No.
A lot of people will leave.
but that's what marriage is.
exactly.
Well, we got married. So I got diagnosed in June. We got married a month later because we were actually supposed to have our wedding that October. And
It was right after I came back from Lithuania, right? In Latvia.
we got
It was the
married
summertime.
in July.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just kind of went to the courthouse, did our thing, because we were supposed to get married the year before, but his buddy from the Marine Corps actually committed suicide. So,
I'm sorry.
Oh my
We,
goodness, I'm so
Thank you.
sorry.
yeah, we canceled our wedding because it just wasn't the same. And
Yeah.
we were going to do it for that following October, which happened to be when I got diagnosed. So we actually never had a wedding, but we went to the courthouse and did our thing. And
Everything happens for a reason,
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
how it's supposed to.
exactly. And I truly
I feel like I
believe
enjoyed
that.
it more going down to City Hall and just getting it done.
Yeah.
Yeah, went
was-
home and just ate
Because
some wings.
when
and
you-
It was
watched
just us.
baseball.
But
Like,
when
that's
you-
what we did.
Yeah.
When
was
you
just
have
us.
stuff like that happen, and like I remember when I was little, like I pictured this big huge wedding, and then I had so many things happen to me, and clearly you guys have had so many traumatic things in such a short period of time. In those moments you realize you're what I need. Like
Yeah.
I don't need this big whole showcase.
Yes.
You're what I need, and at the end of the day life's short, and I think that
And that's exactly what we did.
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's what
That's
everyone's
beautiful.
that's what everyone's looking for, especially when you talk about your marriage and love and also the worst times of your life. At the end of the day, all the other bullshit aside, you just want the people that are there for you and the people that love you. And
you never know what life's gonna throw at you either.
Oh God,
Yeah.
never.
You absolutely
Never.
Every week it's something new.
Yeah.
Or every day.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, literally every. Let's go with more every day.
Yeah.
Do you guys practice? Is there anything you guys practice together in terms of like gratitude or anything like that to kind of help you get through your day or get through your month or through life in general and what life has to throw at you?
We try to communicate a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely communication now with our daughter. Having 2 kids now. We also have 3 dogs at home. We're actually fostering another
Oh
dog.
wow!
Oh, that's awesome.
We're busy,
Yeah, it's a
busy
full
people.
household.
So communication, 100%. We try to, have a little time for us. It's hard, but we really try to work towards our marriage and our relationship, and we really try to make it work with everything life throws at us.
Yeah.
And we're about 10 years next year, so
That's
we're,
amazing.
we're getting there.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Can you guys dive into your outside support system as well? Like, how are your families and stuff? I know you mentioned your dad and everything.
Yeah, so my mom, my dad, my mom's boyfriend, my brothers, his family, everyone, once I got diagnosed, they were like, we got this.
Yeah, they rallied around
Yeah.
you.
We got this. Don't worry about it. They didn't let me get into that negative space.
Right.
Like when I was with them, they would not let me.
Yeah.
It was always,
That's
we
huge.
got humor was the biggest, I can't
Yeah.
even explain the
I'm big
biggest
on that.
part of my experience. Like, I don't
She
know how
joked
many
around,
times
like,
I
she had
pulled.
some sick
Yeah.
jokes.
At some moments, you're like, babe, knock it off.
Yes,
Literally,
exactly.
like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
pulled a cancer card still to this day.
Yeah.
Like I need one that I can pull in my wallet and just be like,
That's
pull it
just
out.
how some
Yeah.
people cope.
Yeah.
And
It
that's-
truly is.
That's my way of coping.
Yeah.
Was humor was the biggest part of that, along with our family, my friends. I was a pre-K teacher at the time, so all my students, my coworkers, just everyone was so supportive and just right behind me and just like rallying for me.
And I think that
Yeah.
it's really important to, like, kind of circling back to you talking about your vulnerability and like coming out and being able to speak on your story. The more you talk about it, the more you come to terms with it and get comfortable with it, and to be able to joke around about it and stuff like that too. Like, you're still advocating for everything, but it
Yeah.
really does. It helps. I feel as if, especially for what I go through, the more open I am about things, the more
It's easier to deal
It's
with.
so
Yeah.
much easier to deal with.
Yeah, so
yeah.
as I was saying earlier, I told you guys, so I had a woman reach out to me who's 34, just recently got diagnosed, and she said the same thing, like, you look so positive, and I was like, I'm not though. Like, I want to let you know, like, this is real. This is going to be hard.
Yeah.
The next coming months are not going to be easy, but you
Yeah.
got this. You know what I mean? Like, you need a vent, come to me. I got you. Like, when she first messaged me, like, it sounds so crazy, but I was so excited that she messaged me. I was like, yes. Like, and
I
I,
got you.
told her right away. I'm like, I'm so glad you messaged me because I got you.
Yeah, and
The first thing I said. Like,
and being vulnerable and
That's huge for
open, it
people.
also brings and it brings you closer to the community you're supposed to be around. The
Yeah.
people you're supposed to be around. Because
Yeah.
that's something that I could even put into my own life is that just being open and vulnerable about things that you go through. It brings in the right people who are going to be there for you, support you.
How important do you guys think that was for you guys throughout the entire process, especially when you did have those lows?
so, I mean, I didn't really get to my lows unless I was by myself. When I was around other people, like I said, they didn't let me, and I tried not to. I didn't really get to my lows unless I was like truly by myself. Like I didn't
I
want
could see
everyone
that,
to.
and I could see when she gets by herself. That's when she was like her
Yeah.
deep, like that's how down she was. Like she was really bad.
Right.
But that's why I try to just keep her busy, to keep her motivated.
Can you talk about when you were by yourself, how you would kind of combat those moments?
Yeah, so I wrote some. I tried to put it out on paper. Didn't really help much. Cried it out a bunch. You know, I would just look up stories. I would try to just like put my situation in a situation of like another breast cancer patient and see where they were in 6 months and where they would be in a year and how fast did their hair grow back and will I lose my eyelashes? Will I lose my eyebrows? You know, will I gain so much weight? I would just constantly fixate on so many other people's stories and try to be like, well, maybe that's going to happen. Like that's what would happen. But to get out of it, like I tried to write, you know, I tried to listen to music. What was really big, which also helped in my pain and chemo, was medical marijuana. Helped my anxiety. And I recently got diagnosed with depression going through all that. Like I never had depression before. Real anxious person, but never depressed. After that, I got real depressed. And I noticed that I got my medical marijuana card. And that just helped bunches.
Right. And speaking to these different people and their experiences, what are some things you've taken from them, and what are some positives you found from their stories?
Just take it day by day,
Yeah.
day by day,
Right?
because every day is different. Every day is a new challenge. Like at the end of I was done chemo at this point, and I was ready to like throw a celebration. I was ready to go to at that point it was KDO's, and I was like ready to have like a big old. I was like, yeah, like
Yeah, that
let's
was her
go
biggest
ill.
thing.
Like
What a spot.
I'm
What a
so
spot.
ready.
Yeah.
Throwback.
2 days
Nick's
after,
beef?
yeah, 2 days after, I got my face swell up. Like it was, I had an infection in my tooth from chemo. They never gave me this shot, which ups my white blood cell count. It's called Neulasta. So they never gave that to me, my last chemo, because they said my white cell blood count was good. So a couple days later, I wake up, my mouth is swollen. It's a little numb. Didn't think anything of it. Went to my oncologist. They sent me to an ENT. They're like, everything looks pristine.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is. So ends up being that my white blood cell count was 0.07 and I was neutropenic. So I was quarantined before quarantine was a thing.
Right.
Wow.
I was in a hospital room, masks and all. No one could come in because I was, if any germ could have touched me like that,
Yeah,
I could have went
infectious-
septic.
Infectious disease
Yeah.
doctors coming in like left and right, checking in on her.
And chemo has to be so tolling to the body.
It
Yeah.
is. There's
It's
and there's so
horrible.
many different versions of it that not everyone's symptoms are the same. So whenever I would try to reach out to any of like the breast cancer people and try to see like, hey, what are my symptoms going to be? What do I have to do to prepare for any of this? And some of them helped. Some of them I just learned on my own, like dry mouth. You know, you get thrush in the back of your mouth and your tongue. Can't taste anything. Everything tastes metallic for a good week. It was tough. Like just you were tired. I didn't really get sick a lot. Like, you know, you see in the movies people are
Yeah,
throwing up from
and
chemo.
stuff,
It's
yeah.
not like
Yeah.
that.
That's more movie.
Yeah, that's so movie
Yeah.
related. It's not like that.
Exaggerated.
Yeah, it's, you know, it was just a laid back week, and I had I would have chemo for a week, and I would have 2 weeks off. So I would have chemo for a week, 2 weeks off, and then I did that for 4 rounds, so a little over like 3 months.
Now, how long, when you had the infection, how long were you quarantined basically?
It was about a good,
About a week, I think.
yeah, like probably about a
Yeah.
week.
How was that moment for you? Cause
Oh,
you,
that was horrible.
Yeah, because you couldn't
was-
touch her.
I couldn't see my son.
Yeah, I couldn't touch her.
Oh, she couldn't be with.
Wow.
I couldn't be
Rated.
with anyone. I had
Yeah,
to
nobody.
FaceTime him, and my face is like swollen, and he couldn't really like see me, and I
Like
could.
literally, like when you walk into her hospital room, you had to have a mask. It had this like one sign out saying like infectious diseases, cover your mask.
Yeah, sanitize.
Sanitize.
Like,
Sanitize.
And it makes you seem like not human.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that at that point, I thought I was gonna have to go through it all over again. Like I was like, what now? Like when I was in the hospital, when I had to be by myself, when no one was allowed to stay with me, I wasn't allowed to have any guests. Like there was lows where I was like, just let cancer fucking take me.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care. Because at that point, I'm like, how much more do I have to go through to be done with this? I thought I was done with it at that point. I thought I was done. I was ready to like go back to work. I was ready to go back to work the
Yeah.
next like month in January.
Yeah.
And I just got set back again. I had a couple more surgeries, and this infection just ruined everything. I had to push back everything, and I was just like, just take
I had to
it.
be.
I'm over
So
it.
what internally kept you pushing?
My son,
Yeah.
him, my son definitely. Like I
Yeah.
could just cry right now thinking
Yeah.
of it.
Now, if you could,
my kids.
I know. I'm sure that's a huge drive behind everything.
It is.
And if you had to give a piece of advice to other mothers or anybody going through this, what would you give to them?
So like I told the girl who like is messaging me and like she has young kids, so I'm like, sorry.
No,
Like,
you're fine.
when you
I'm
get
really
to
proud of
those,
you.
when
You
you
can take
get
a
to
second.
those low points, look at your kids. They just look at your kids, because
Yeah, once you have kids, your whole entire life changes.
They're-
That's your
they're your
motivational
saving
factor.
grace.
Right there.
God, you're gonna make me
I'm so like, and then after like having Savannah, after I was told like you may not be able to have kids, like this pregnancy might not take, like
Yeah.
you could pass something along to her, or something could happen to you, and I was like, it's a risk I'm willing to take. I want.
I can't even look
I keep looking at you, and then I keep crying more.
Oh my
but
God.
she was, and I didn't even think I was gonna have a girl. I never thought I would have had a girl. And funny story, we actually thought she was a boy. We got the blood
Yeah.
test wrong. They
Oh
told
my
us she was
gosh,
a
that's
boy.
so funny.
So
See, I knew I was when I.
Yeah, you were getting on to something.
when she came out and everything, it was just,
We thought we were having
Brayden
baby
and
Liam.
Savannah. Yeah. just Brayden
And
and
then,
Savannah were just.
She's
They're
like,
just
I'm having a girl.
everything.
The gender-
I'm like, what?
That's so
the
exciting.
gender
though.
reveal party's wrong. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Everything's wrong.
crazy. But yeah, my kids are definitely my
So,
saving grace throughout
when-
everything.
and that's absolutely amazing. And like I said, I couldn't be happier for you guys. Seriously.
Thank
and,
you.
When you had Savannah, you realized she's healthy. Like, what was going through you guys internally? Like, just
God,
realizing.
such joy. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't. Like when I was 10 centimeters and I was ready to go, I was like, I can't do this. Like, obviously
Yeah.
it hurt. But when she
Yeah.
came out, I was like, oh my God. Oh my
She's
God.
perfect. Her
Yeah.
picture, she's
Beautiful.
adorable.
Like,
Like,
Yeah.
oh
She
my
is.
Oh my
God. Like
gosh.
how.
She's a little devil, but she
totally
is.
is. Second child
Girls
syndrome.
are.
Yeah.
But like
the cute ones are.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Like I went through all that. And actually I had to be placed on hormone like decreasers. Like they decreased my hormones. I had to be on that for 5 years. So before I had Savannah, I had to talk to my oncologist. Like, am I allowed to get pregnant? How do we do this?
Right.
So I had to take, it's called tamoxifen. I had to take that for 2 years. Then I was able to stop it and try to get pregnant. And that's what we did. We took it for 2 years. I stopped it. We got pregnant so easily, thankfully, because a lot of people have a hard time, especially after chemo. But we got pregnant naturally, thankfully, and
That's amazing.
everything was just, everything was great. So now I was off of tamoxifen for about a year, and I just started back on it. So I have to be on it for another 3 years. And we do want to have one more child
Oh yeah.
before,
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome. That's
before. But I think we're gonna wait till I'm done with my medicine because it's just easier that
Yeah,
way.
absolutely.
So when you had Savannah, like, was there like a point in time where you realized, like, I took this risk and
All the time.
paid off?
All the
Yeah.
time.
Like, is there like it's
All the time. I see
Are you
her and I'm
faithful?
Yeah. So I guess before cancer, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
Never really practiced it. Never really cared. But going through cancer, what else can you do
Yeah.
but try to pray and try to think positive and just think that there's a spiritual being out there somewhere, whether it's God,
Whatever you
Allah,
believe in.
whatever you
Yeah,
believe
find something to
in,
believe in, yeah.
something. I believed in something, whatever it was.
I always prayed to my buddy because he passed away a little bit before she was diagnosed.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah, I prayed to him too.
I
as well.
pray to him over like God and Jesus. I just
Yeah, that's what,
Pray
like
to
I
him.
pray to my grandparents.
Yeah, like family
yeah.
members and stuff like that.
like knowing like if you guys met him, like he was a saint and
Right.
he was a really really
Great.
good guy. He cared about my family, cared about her. So and I knew he looked out. I could just feel it.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I fully believe in that too. When you were going through,
It
yeah,
gives you strength for sure.
It does.
absolutely. Like, when you're going through all of this, was there ever like, and you too, Nick, was there ever like a why me?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the
It was like
time.
a
That
why
was
us?
the biggest question. I can't even tell you how many times I wrote that down. Why me?
You'll never have the answers.
And I still don't because I don't have it genetically. I don't have any family history. I got a 1%,
Right.
breast cancer diagnosis.
Right.
Where did all
Everything
this come
happens
from?
for a reason. You're always gonna ask why me, but there's always a lesson to learn. And like you said, like your wedding didn't go the way that you expected it to go, but you said you absolutely loved the way
I feel like it
went.
made her more open about just talking to people because like before cancer, she was like kind of shy. She just kept to herself. She wouldn't be
I would have
out
never
there.
done this before.
Yeah.
I was like, you're
Yeah.
shy.
I would have
You're
never.
lying.
She wouldn't be
done
out
this.
there
Right.
like just going out in public and just like putting it out on social media.
And,
But
yeah, and listen, you're an advocate, so you speaking on it and being open and so just vulnerable, especially to us, just even wanting to come on here, you can't. I try to say when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So instead of asking why me, you say because of me. I'm here because of me. I am an advocate and help so many people because of me, right? Because of everything you went through, all the battles you faced, and and taking the risk of wanting to have another child and it paying off. Someone else is going to see
I
that.
never looked at it that way, but yeah, that's a good
Perspective.
Say
Yeah,
it.
that's cool.
A shift
yeah.
of perspective can change your attitude towards so much.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
is. And you have no idea when like your kids get older and stuff like that. It's just
I hope Brayden knows how hard I fought to be here for him today.
God, you're gonna make me cry.
I'm sorry, but I like
He's
when
got,
he realizes it. Like tonight, I just talk to him. He's like, where are you going? Like, what are you doing? And I was like, your thing's on YouTube, and he's a big YouTube guy right now. I was like, Mommy's gotta go talk on YouTube.
Oh my gosh, it's so
So
cute.
he's like, what do you gotta talk about? Like, and he's naming all these YouTube people that he watches, and I was like, no, I gotta talk about when Mommy was sick and she had cancer, and but I was like, but I'm gonna be on YouTube.
Yeah,
He's like, I
that's
can't
amazing.
wait.
Braden, your mom's
Brayden,
always-
shout
Yeah,
out.
right?
Shout out to Brayden and
mommy,
Savannah.
mommy and daddy on
Mommy's
YouTube.
a fighter.
Yes.
But I always stress too, and even Paige, like perspective is just so
so
important,
important.
right? And
Yeah.
and I said every episode. My grandma told me this quote, and it's when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, and it's just simply about how you look at it, and just saying because of me, because of what I went through,
I like
both
that.
of you guys, because of what you went through, like you've been able to help people, and you mentioned to me like how you were saying, I was so happy when she reached out to me.
So was.
Like it's because of you, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to dive into, because I know that writing and journaling is one of the most intimate and
Effective ways to get your
Yeah.
emotions
it's
out.
it's you and yourself. And you said ask anything. I want
Yeah.
to dive into what you've written about, especially when you first got diagnosed and just that whole journey. What did you write, and what were some of those intimate feelings that you were feeling during that?
I never even let him read any of this stuff, but
No.
yeah. So going through my whole treatment plan, I wasn't really able to like write a lot during that. So like I said, it was a lot of resting, meds, doctor's appointments, all that stuff. I didn't really start until 2019 because that's when all my chemo weight gained on. My hair was just growing back. I felt disgusting. I hated myself. Like hated myself. I wouldn't eat. I wanted to do everything. I was doing crunches like just every day, like just anything. I was always a thin
It's
person.
a very vulnerable place
It
to
was
be.
yeah, and I would just write down, why me? I'm so fat. I'm so ugly. Why can't my hair just grow back? I'm disgusting. Stuff that I would want to tell to people, but if I told him that, he'd be like, no, you're not. No, you're not. But I needed someone to listen. And the only person that could listen was the paper, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. It absolutely
That goes back to perspective though too, because I used to be like that for a while, and it was always why me, and I can't believe this, or I'd write down like as if I was talking to my parents,
Yes.
there was a huge shift in. Well, I actually went to therapy, and she actually told me
tried
this,
that.
and she was, but it was. For me, it was so heavy and it was so much, and going to therapy is great and I love it, and I have created a better relationship with it. But I was even really negative when I was going through that too, and I was like, you don't even like, you're sitting there and I get this, you study it, but you have no idea what I've gone through.
This to me is therapy.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be
This
able to
is therapy.
exactly. And people have different perspectives on things too. And so I would pick and choose like certain things that I would try and work into my routine and stuff. But when you write down like, okay, like, why me? I am so upset. I hate my image. Like when you really change and challenge yourself to write down like, I am beautiful. Like
I did that.
you start to believe it.
I did that. So my friends at work, they were talking about manifestations. It's
very big.
really, really, really big right now.
I believe in that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my friend was like, I think one day in December, she's like, today's the day. You got to write your stuff that you want. You got to put somewhere safe where no one's, going to find it. You got to manifest those things. And I did. And he's like cleaning out my drawers one day. He's like, what's this piece of paper? And he's looking at it all. I'm like, oh, they're my manifestations. He's like, what? And I'd explain to him, like, but these are things I just want to try to have happen in my life. Like,
and the thing is too is like I got really carried away with when I got lost. Like I had a huge mental break, and for so long I bottled up like 25 years of trauma and everything, and I was putting on this persona that like everything was okay and I had control of things, and I was writing things down, but I got so clouded by like really coming to reality with things, and then like trying this whole manifestation. Everybody's like, and I went down a rabbit hole where I thought that I was gonna like write something on a piece of paper and it was gonna show up on my doorstep. The thing is like you have to find a good relationship with it, but it's more so you start to it's you. It starts with you're doing it. Like you might be manifesting something, but you start to believe that you can accomplish something, and you start to make the steps to get to that accomplishment because of where you're putting your state of mind.
Exactly. It all starts with your mind, your state of thinking, where you're at. Like I told this girl who reached out to me, I'm like, you know, you got to try to be positive. Look at those little things throughout your day when you're upset. Right. Look at your kids, you know, go outside. You know, she's trying to put so much into, you know, these next couple weeks before her you know, her treatment and everything. You know, she went to storybook land with her kids. She's doing all that she can, and I just tell her, like, do all that you can. Keep doing it until the last possible second where you can, because after this, it's going to get rough. Right. It's going to get hard.
And at the end of the day, you're the only one who talks to yourself. Like you talk. I said this to my sister, like when she struggles with things she's going through. I'm like, hell, you are your biggest advocate. You talk to yourself every single day, and no one else is going to tell you what you want to hear, because like you literally just said, people saying you're beautiful, that didn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's what you were telling yourself. Yeah. And I think the most important thing with manifestation that goes behind that is just consistency. Right? It's being consistent every single day, whether it's, you know, me and my sister give each other voice notes every day saying what we're happy about in our lives. Like it's just like that consistency. And then she tells me, Kev, I think it's actually like kind of working, because it's like day 10 and it's like, oh, like, you know what? Maybe I do start to believe that.
You start to believe it. You definitely start to believe it.
I tell him on his bad days, if you wake up and you believe it's going to be a good day, it's going to be a good day.
Right.
You just got to believe it from the get-go. Even if, you know, life throws those stuff at you and stuff, you just still got to believe it's going to be a good day.
And implement the things that, like you said, like this is almost like a therapy session. I can't tell you how many times, like, I've missed a couple because like what my mom's going through and stuff like that. I had a breakdown driving here from the hospital, and I was just like, there was moments in my head where it was like, I don't know if I can even sit down, and like I'm really emotional. I have to pull myself together, but it's like I know when I walk away from things like this, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
And I'm inspired by your story, and I admire you guys, and it's like I wouldn't have that if I didn't pull myself together and be able to sit down here. Like you're going to have those days where you have to keep pushing and continue to implement those as hard as it gets.
A wise man once told me, control what you can, or what you can't control is you.
Control the controllable.
Yeah.
That's I think that's so
huge. That's like a good mindset that I keep.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love
it's huge. It might sound so simple, but then when you have those days, you have to remind yourself
it's literally that simple sometimes though.
It is.
It is. And we overcomplicate it too, because you're like, when you go back to those why me, it might be just a simple perspective shift.
It is.
But you could sit there and wallow in it. And like, I never thought that I would struggle with depression.
Neither did I.
At all. And like you said, like you were an anxious person. I was always anxious. I didn't think that I would
never depressed.
Never depressed.
Yeah.
I was the happy girl.
Yeah. It's the compound effect. It's the little things happening every single day by day, that add into something bigger. You know what I mean?
And you have no idea what's going to knock on your door, like your doorstep, like one day. At all.
And
every day's a new day.
And something I could tell all three of you is give yourself credit. You know, I think a lot of times we don't do that. You know, you just being able to come here and sit down and have a conversation, as small as it may seem to you, like it's a big deal. It's very, and for you to even want to come on this and even go through your chemo and your treatment, and for you to be the best husband in the world and sticking by your side every single day, like give yourselves credit, man. Like it's a lot. You know what I mean? And
I think that's what we don't do. We don't give ourselves credit. I give him credit. He gives me credit. You know, he thinks I'm a great mom. I think he's a great dad. You know, and vice versa, whatever. But we don't give ourselves credit.
Yeah.
Especially when
It's hard.
You're just hard on yourselves every day.
Yeah.
And when you go through a lot, it's almost like second nature to be like, I gotta get up. This is what I gotta do. Like
Yeah.
this is how I gotta survive.
That's us currently, and we're trying to,
From
you know,
6:30 in the morning till about midnight.
yeah. I mean,
Just
we're trying to get out of
go.
that, but
But you have no idea, like you even coming on and sharing your story and stuff, and you said like I just want this to touch one person.
just one.
To be able to have this conversation and stuff, like it means the world to me, and I'm not even actively going through cancer. I don't have to
But it
deal
doesn't
with
have
these
to even
hardships.
be cancer. Like I have a friend I recently lost touch with. She was my best friend. We just got back in touch, and she just had a 10-pound baby, all natural, last October, and she ended up having to get open heart surgery.
Wow.
So being a young mom, just giving birth and having to go through open heart surgery, that it's not cancer, but that's hard.
Yeah.
That's real. Me and her relate on so many things. She vents to me. It's not the same trauma, but it's trauma. And we're young moms, still having
a
to be
doubt.
moms, still having to be adults, working 9 to 5,
Yeah.
you know, being responsible, but it's still alive.
I always say this. I've really been huge on this, even more so lately than not. I am somebody that I openly talk about my trauma. A lot of
So do I.
people know what I've gone through, and it's very heavy stuff. And I have had a lot of people say like, I feel like I can't relate to you and stuff because you've been through so much. And I always say to them, it doesn't matter what you're going through, minor or major. Trauma is trauma for that
Yes.
person.
Yeah.
And I'm here. No, if you came to me with if you thought it was so simple and silly compared to what I've gone through, that may not be simple and silly to you.
Yes, that was so big. Like, so we had our first miscarriage back in 2013 when we first got together, and we lost a baby very early. But so many people told me was that, oh, it's very early, it's okay, like you can still have more babies. And my mom, this always stuck. My mom was like, no matter how small, that was your baby.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so no matter what the trauma is, trauma's trauma. Your
Trauma
story,
is
my
trauma.
story, her story, his story, it's all trauma.
It's the same in a way because it's something that you guys that affects you and that changes you and that hurts
Literally
you.
chemically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chemically.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Like that's why I always say like it doesn't matter how small it is. Like
No.
depression is depression, anxiety is anxiety.
Yeah.
If you can pull out a piece of where I like figured out how to get myself back up in the morning and
Yeah.
that's going to help you out, absolutely, I'm here.
Yeah, take it.
My sister just celebrated. She celebrated Mother's Day. She had a miscarriage, and
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
it affects her. Thank you, and it really does affect her. And for me, in a weird way, it was sort of. I'll be honest. It was sort of ignorance. I'm like I didn't understand it until I started to have conversations about it and really like educating myself about it. I'm like, wow, that really was a person inside of her that she always wanted a child.
Yeah.
So
I was a
what
child
did you
just ripped from
what
her.
did you not understand? Like,
It's just for me, I was just because I didn't like. So being quite honest with you, I didn't like the situation she was in.
okay,
And that was me being ignorant because I want the best for my sister.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it really fucked up hard. We thought maybe it was for the best, but in the reality of the situation, and that's
But that's your
Yeah.
sister.
and
I get what you mean.
I'm,
Okay.
I'm very offensive when it comes to my sister, and I'll admit that. And
She's your twin, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll admit that I was completely wrong thinking that because, when I seen her talk about it and post about it, I'm like, wow, this was like something that really affected her
Yeah.
that I just simply did not understand. You
Yeah.
know,
Literally broke her heart.
it did.
Yeah.
It still does.
No matter how small, a life is a life,
Yeah,
and it's hard.
yeah, and
It's like
Yeah.
once you get so close to having a child, and then it just gets ripped away from you like that.
it's like
It's
your
horrible.
It's
It's like a
horrible.
horrible feeling.
It's like your pride and joy and how if you're watching this, I'm really sorry. I was never really vocal to her about it and to her, but internally I was like, she's gonna be fine. But then, I sit and have a conversation with you about things you guys have been through, and I'm like, wow, I'm a fucking idiot. You know?
But you also don't realize too, like I even think that even you just saying that on camera and being able to vocalize that's going to mean a lot to her too.
So much. It's
Yeah.
going to mean
Because
so much
when
to
you
her.
shift your perspective on stuff like that too, and you take a step back, like my brother and I, we don't really have a great relationship. Like we have a good relationship, but it's very distant. And he's seen me go through a lot, and he called me yesterday after the Barstool thing, and he was like, I'm really proud of you.
That's
And
awesome.
That
like-
meant a lot.
That is good.
I'm going to cry again.
You try holding
But,
it
like,
back while he's telling you. And you're
Yes, and I'm like, oh,
Don't
like,
break
and
down, don't break
yeah,
down.
like it might be like, to him, like, I just said thank you, but like,
But that meant the world to you.
Yeah.
huge.
And that's going to mean the world to her because we actually had to go through it twice. One before Braden and one before Savannah. And they're both my rainbow babies, so they
Yeah.
100%
That's
mean
so great.
that's why they mean the world to me,
love
obviously.
that.
But
And
it's just it's hard because you think you're gonna have you're thinking of all these names, you're thinking of all these things, you're thinking of the life that you're about to create.
Yeah.
And it's taken from you so soon before you can even hold it, before you can even see it, before you can think of a name, like anything. Like so for you just saying that out in the open, that's going to mean the world to her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It is.
And only reason why I felt that way was because of her situation. But
Well,
that-
you want the best for her.
Yeah.
That's your sister. That's all
But
you can want.
sometimes like having an open conversation and being able to do that, like I think that's where the rift was between like me and my brother, was more so like me trying to protect him and not telling him a lot. And then once I became open with all of this stuff and he saw what I was going through, like his perspective changed on it. And he was like, you don't really know what people are internalizing at all, ever.
Yeah.
So open communication is just so big and it really helps both parties at the end of the day.
no one's a mind reader.
And I think
Nobody.
And I think and the biggest thing that this podcast has taught me is that people need to see other people are vulnerable and open, because that's
so important.
You know, it instills the confidence in them to think and say like, hey, maybe I can too, because I think everyone's scared of being judged, and like that's something I'm willing to do is put myself out there. And Paige 100%, like being my fucking partner, best friend, right hand, like literally, it's like being willing to put yourself out there no matter what it is. That just opens the door for other people to think, you know what, maybe they're onto something, right? Maybe I can be open too.
That's all I wanted to do. Like ever since I got diagnosed, I was like, I want to do something with this. I don't know what. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know how I want to do it, but I want to do something. And I'm 4 years out, and
too.
I mean, this is the start, and I'm hoping it travels somewhere.
I truly hope that this does reach a lot of people, and that you find your lane in terms of what kind of advocacy you want to pursue, because it's something you definitely should do, both of you guys, like being someone who suffers from it and being someone who's the support system for that. You know, I think a lot of people are gonna like love you guys, and it's gonna catch on and be like, shit, like, you know what I mean, they're open about it. So wow,
and the fact that you're backing her and everything too, like,
because some husbands out there, like you said earlier, like,
I know so many.
I'm not trying to make myself sound amazing.
No, but you can. You deserve to.
Some people honestly could care less. They could.
I know
they could look
so
at
many
her after her surgeries and everything and be like, "What do I do?"
Yeah.
Like,
I know so many
stand there,
breasties.
like you don't.
The term is breasties. I'm sorry. It's just so
breasties.
hard for me to like, breast
I didn't want to laugh, but I think it's amazing.
No,
I think
it
it's
is
so
good.
good.
I love it.
It's so good.
So a lot of the breasties, a lot of husbands leave mid-treatment.
Yep. Yeah.
You can't do that.
Mid-treatment. Once when they get diagnosed. Once when they're after treatment. It's like,
But imagine,
how?
but put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Imagine if he was going through this and you would have to support him too. Like having somebody walk away from Jesus. This is a very emotional freaking episode for me. But like I had a breakdown, and my boyfriend at the time, like we were going through an active breakup, but we were friends before that too. And he, like, I completely cold cut. We had no communication even after I had the breakdown and stuff. So for one, I have abandonment issues with my parents. That was like horrible for me.
Yeah.
And like there was so many times where I even tried to reach back out, not even to be like, oh my God, like I want to get back together or anything. It was more so like I was so used to my parents abandoning me and then me trying to fix everything and go back to it. It just snapped with me recently too, that like the only reason I wanted open communication or to have an answer was because of all of the trauma I went through.
Yeah.
To have somebody
explanation.
walk away from you in a vulnerable state is...
It's horrible.
It's almost even more traumatic than everything you've gone through.
It's gut-wrenching because you're supposed to be there for me.
Yes.
You're supposed to be, listening to me, supporting me, and you left
And
me.
this is why I'm so happy Nick came on, and I don't want you to sell yourself short, because, bro,
It's huge.
from personal experience,
So huge.
and you guys obviously testify to this, but your significant other matters, and most of they matter.
People in general matter.
Their opinion matters more than anyone else's in the world, because they're the person you want to be proud of you. They're the person you want to be happy for you and like love you for who you are, and not judge you. And for you to not do that and to do the complete opposite,
Never.
it's seriously
Never.
like
Never.
What helped me was family and just pray to my boy Chris up in heaven. That's what got me through it, and Braden, obviously.
That's awesome.
That's
'Cause
amazing.
You look at him, 2-year-old boy, and you're just like,
Yeah, you're like, I got to
Damn,
do
this
this.
There's
I have to.
so much life.
Like, there is no, it's either I die or I do this.
Yep.
That's what it comes down
So
to.
I had this is absolutely heartbreaking, but one of my mutual connections, her best friend, she had her story is insane, but she had lost her sister, and then so both friends lost their sister in tragic accidents. They became very, very close because that's a traumatic experience that they shared.
You can bond that way.
The one friend was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. She just met they were supposed to get married. She just met her husband, and they went through the journey together. She was like, I don't want you to go through this with me. She actively was telling him, like, how am I going to pull you into this?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And I believe he was living in England too. So he came and traveled from
that's
England,
amazing.
stayed
To
with her
support
throughout
her?
the entire
I
process.
could cry right now.
And she wound up passing away
Oh my God.
a couple weeks ago. And they had a moment where he stood up and he was like, I just wanted to see her happy. Like, those were the moments.
That's literally what
So
you want.
to take, like,
Just take all the stress, all the bullshit, all the pain away.
Because you have
just to
no
see her
idea.
Happy, just makes your day.
Like it's to
And
have
I-
that support system is just so, like, that's just so awesome that he traveled so far for her.
Yeah.
Like,
And,
that
like,
just, that makes me cry
I
because
know.
like,
I
know
cry
how
every time I
badly
talk
she
about
needed
it.
that.
Yes.
Like, just being through myself, so I know how badly she needed that. And you know, stage 1, stage 2, 3, 4, regardless, it's all cancer, and it sucked. And I'm so sorry to hear that she passed, but for him to be there with her for that,
I
Like,
have
I
the chills
can't-
all
so
over.
do
Like,
I.
every time I talk about it, I tear up or I cry because I was blown away when I
Yeah.
found out about that. And I was just like, there really are people out there that are
There
just
is.
genuinely so
There
good.
is.
I mean, that's as real as life gets. You
Yeah,
know, when
that's-
it's the fact that somebody being vulnerable and down, and that person choosing them. You know, it's as real as life gets because he's not getting anything out of this. The only thing he's getting out of really is
The memories that he created
The
with her
memories.
when that happened.
right with that inevitable
And knowing
moment.
he could give that to her, like,
Right.
and it brought back a memory too because like he shaved her head and stuff too, and like he knew
knew
that
it
it
was
was
coming.
he
Yeah.
knew it was
coming.
yes, and he took that
But he
step to be
stayed and
you got to keep
he-
her mind off of it. You
he
got to keep
did
her
all
positive.
he could to her
Yeah.
till her last breath, and that is
literally
amazing.
oh my god,
That's
I have the chills
amazing.
all over again. But it really goes to show that like how much that support during those times
It matters.
it matters.
Yeah.
It matters. Like, just be kind.
Just be kind because you really and it goes back to we mentioned it earlier you don't know when any of this could go south.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never.
Life is so precious.
That's very true.
So goddamn
Especially
precious.
nowadays, like with everything going
Yes.
on, just in general in the world, like COVID, that mass shooting in Buffalo last
yeah.
week, you know, like just every day
Yes.
is a mystery and a surprise, and you never know how it's going
And
to go.
it's so easy. Like I remember back in the day too. Like
I feel like
Oh,
none
and
of
I'm-
this happened back in the day.
yeah, I know.
Isn't that
God, I
crazy?
miss the early
It's been-
2000s.
Yeah, like it's crazy, but like in those moments, like I was a little goofball. I was rambunctious. I was getting into
Yeah.
shit, and I was like, "Oh, it won't happen
it
to
will
me."
not.
No.
Yup. That
I
the
was the
final
definite-
last words.
Until it does.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Yeah.
If you told me that I'd be sitting on a podcast and I was talking about mental health
Girl,
and I was
same.
absolutely fucking
For real.
not, no,
No way. I would not
no
be
way,
here.
absolutely not. And like it's just crazy. And like I make conscious decisions every day to try and get better. And like there is like a huge shift in my life right now. Like and a lot of things are changing and I handle things a lot differently. But like I never thought I was going to be that person either. Like constantly changing. I feel like I've lived fucking 9 lives at this point, to be completely honest.
Her story is insane.
But like,
I just watched some of it.
it's just it's crazy and like, but that's why I do it, and that's why I sit down and I listen to these stories and I take a page from everybody's book and I'm like, how am I going to?
use this?
How can I
Yeah.
use this to make myself 1% better each and every single day?
Yeah.
Because it all goes back to like my goal at the end of the day too is to have a family. Like that, with everything that has happened to me, like I want to be so successful and okay with myself so that I can provide that support for somebody else and love somebody with my whole heart and be able to look at my kids one day and be like, I fucking did it.
And,
Yeah.
and that's why it's important that you go through things that you went through, and that's why it's important that you guys went through things that you went through.
And be able to look at your kids and
yeah,
have
like
that.
going off of what you said, like after I had Savannah, and we just bought a house last October, so we're in our new house.
Congrats.
We got our 3 dogs, our 2 kids, and sometimes we just looked at each other and we're like, "Fuck, like we made it.
We did it.
we did it.
Did it. It's hard.
Right.
Every day is a struggle, but we did it."
And that's what makes it so much better too, to look at what you guys went through.
And that's where a lot of I go to on those those rough days. Like, look
where we started.
look where we started and look where we're at now.
like it will get
look where
better.
we're
It
going.
will.
Yeah.
the
Not it
pain
can,
you
it
feel.
will.
I have it tattooed on me. The pain you feel today is the strength you feel tomorrow.
Without a doubt, I love that. I absolutely love that.
That's
and it's
my go-to.
So true.
It is.
It's so true.
Just found the title of this fucking podcast.
Yeah.
I got it tattooed on me. I believe it wholeheartedly. This was even before cancer,
That's
before
so
all my
true.
things.
Yeah.
Like the pain you feel today, you're good. You're gonna feel better tomorrow.
I love that. I genuinely love that so much, because that's something I always try to tell myself, and I always try to tell people too who are just who need it. That's like that's just a perfect way to put it. And I think that everything that you do go through is what you're able to pass on to somebody else, right? The things that you go through that you feel in that moment. And you realizing that this is just how I feel in the moment.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah,
it's
you
not,
got to realize it's in the moment.
Something I try to tell myself is I'm not depressed. I feel depressed.
Yes.
Because what it does is it makes it something that's fleeting and passing, right?
Yes.
And because it kind of goes back to this how you talk to yourself and how you tell what you tell yourself every day, and also too, like I said, like just being able to pass that on to another person, right? Like somebody who sees this episode or your post on Instagram and stuff. People, you're sharing your pain, but you're showing that you also, from what you suffered, you have strength today.
Yes.
And people are seeing that. I think that's just the most important thing. I think it's such a good
whole thing
quote.
that I'm doing.
That's a great quote.
I love it.
The one thing I hold on to, and I have it on my necklace, it's not all who wander are lost. And
I think that's LaSalle's.
Yes.
My brother went to LaSalle.
I went to LaSalle, so that's
my brother went to LaSalle.
That's so
So I
crazy.
knew that was so familiar.
And
I like that.
And I got this like when I was going through everything, like it just stood out. I was at a craft show and I had it, and I hold on to this like every moment when I feel like I'm like slipping or a little bit like, or I'm getting too into my head. I'm like,
You're not
you
lost.
look at what you've done.
Yeah.
Look at how far you've come. Like every day's a new day, 1% better each day. Like
I feel like people have to do that.
You
It sounds silly, and people can laugh about it, but it's so true.
It's so true, and it truly means the world to me. And like, you could be at your lowest one day. Like we see addiction so much. Like we see people come back from addiction. We see people like your story. Like everybody has like stuff that they're going through. Like I said, either minor or major, but you have no idea. You can turn that around in the blink of an eye. And start over. It all starts with you and that safe headspace that you create.
Yeah, and you kind of hit on earlier, like sometimes people don't care because they're not going through it, right?
Yeah.
Until people think, and like I said, like people might think it's silly to be open and vulnerable until they need to be open and vulnerable.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's the only time they understand, and that's okay. You have to realize that not everyone's going to understand in the beginning until they go through it, until they get the.
It's unfortunate that they have to go through it to understand it.
It's horrible.
But
but like
people are
even
like
like
that.
my dad was an addict. My aunt ripped him for years. She got a hysterectomy. She was an addict for years, taking money from my dad and my family after that. Like you don't, thank God she's good now, but like you don't understand where you could be in life.
Never.
Exactly.
In life,
Absolutely no idea. So judging anybody based off of their history or what they've gone through or what they're promoting or advocating for or anything, like I have so many people that look at some of the stuff that I do and they're like, oh my God, like what is she doing? Or there's negative comments always on the internet.
Yeah, like here she goes again.
Yeah, like, and it's like, but just wait, like until you might reflect back. I hope to God this doesn't happen 10 years from now and be like, I could use that conversation.
Exactly.
Right.
Or I could use that piece of advice. And it's like, I'm doing that for the people that are going through that stuff now and like advocating for those voices that don't feel heard, because I've personally gone through it. And when you go through it, you don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks.
You
truly
Fuck
do not give a
everybody
fuck
else.
what anybody else
not.
thinks.
You're just doing it to better yourself. You're trying to make yourself happy. You're trying to live a good life. Fuck what everyone thinks. you know, you just gotta take it day by day, push forward, and you know,
and share your story.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck what anybody else thinks?
Exactly.
It's your
Then
life,
you
just
have
live it.
exactly, and you might have that 1% that reaches out to you, that's going through it, and that's where it matters.
Sounds crazy, but positivity is very hidden. Like, in terms of like how easy is it to talk shit or leave a comment, but then how hard is it
to just be nice,
and how vulnerable do you have to be nice, right? And to be, you know, let's say somebody says, hey, listen, I watched this episode, it really meant a lot. Like, that's hard for somebody to do.
Yeah.
So just the fact that you see more negative, just realize the positive is out there.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Like, that's like, this is so silly. This is a very silly, like, connection. But, like, even, like, Yelp reviews and stuff like that, too. Like, no, but, like, that's what I just thought of because I was like, it's so easy for somebody to be like, I'm ripping these people apart or something like that. And then it's like, why can't you have positivity?
Yeah,
like,
why can't
it's
you go
so
write a nice review instead of only going to the restaurants that are screwing you and writing shitty
like
reviews?
stuff
Like,
like that. Or I should have said YouTube videos to make it more
same
connection. But like, I just thought it
Listen, if
out.
I have some shitty chicken fingers, I'm fucking letting them know.
Like, do you
like-
wake up in the morning and say, like, I'm going to be an asshole today?
Yeah.
And then-
Some people are like that. I don't know how. And like maybe it's because they've gone through a lot in their life
they're
too.
just
And they're
not
like,
ready.
why me?
Yeah.
I like fuck this. Like,
So Taylor and Nick,
So-
what's next?
yes.
What are your plans? You just got a house in October. You have
Yeah.
2 beautiful children.
Relax.
Relax.
Yeah.
We're trying to have
you
a good
deserve
summer.
it.
Yeah.
You deserve
We're
it.
trying to go somewhere with the
Yeah.
kids.
Any plans? Any summer plans yet?
Wildwood here and there,
Yeah.
you know, just the regular stuff. We're gonna try to, you know, get a little family vacation sometime out in the weekend.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Mostly weekend trips and
Yeah.
just hanging out with the kids at home. And
yeah, that's just
doing
big. Just
fun
doing,
stuff.
just making it a big, cool summer for the kids. Because I
Yeah.
mean, like with
Got Brian's
COVID, and then I was
birthday
pregnant
coming.
last year, so we didn't really get to do much. So I just wanted to make it fun.
So,
Yeah, that's exciting.
So we talked about everything you've been through. Does life feel somewhat normal now? Does it feel any?
it's
So
slowly
to,
getting there.
yeah.
to me,
That makes me so
it
happy.
just started feeling normal. So after we bought our house, I had like a pretty big like mental break. Like I was away from my family. You know, it was just me and my husband and the kids. Like we're just Braden at the time and the dogs. Like I wasn't used to not having, you know, all my brothers around the house and you know my other family. So it was really weird. And then also like just getting back to my old self, my body image, my hair.
You look beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. Just everything. I just started feeling back to normal probably when Kayla did my shoot. So she did my friend Kristen's. I hit her up. I was like, these are awesome. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I was willing to pay.
Yeah.
I would love to do a shoot, like a new like This Is Me shoot with my long hair, like feeling like
Yeah,
myself
feel
again.
good.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Show the world that you're feeling good, you're strong. Because
Yes.
people see that. Like
I waited for that for I waited 3 years for that photo shoot. I waited
That's
3 years
amazing.
and I wanted to be as vulnerable as possible. So I was like, Kayla, like I don't care, shirt off in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Like
cold that day, too.
it was freezing that day. I didn't care.
Nick
She
loved
brought
that
the,
shoot.
he wasn't even there. She brought the drone out. Like it was
That's
awesome.
so
But
awesome.
that right there, so that was last November. That right there is when I actually started feeling normal. So honestly,
yeah.
just a couple
Yeah.
months ago.
I love that.
Good.
Is when I started feeling
I'm proud of you.
better.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Very proud of both of you.
Both of you,
Thank you.
seriously.
You feel strong. You guys are strong. You guys are as strong as ever, healthy as ever, happy as ever. It's just like it's a success story that I'm so happy to I'm honored for you guys to come on
Yeah, I
our
admire the
podcast
both of
and
you.
just talk about
Thank
it
you.
seriously
I'm so glad
because
for you guys to have us.
seriously like it could have went a whole other different way, and I just have so much respect for people who just go through so much and they don't
give up.
They don't turn out how they're supposed to turn out,
Yeah.
right? If you guys took that and you ran with it, and you guys are just happy and strong, and I think people need to see that more of that, right? And how much shit do you see on the news? Like it's just all negative.
All the time.
So a little bit of positivity, and I think you guys are literally the definition of that, an embodiment of that. And like I said, I'm truly honored you guys came on today.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
I
appreciate
admire you
that.
guys
Thank
so
you.
much.
It was awesome. I just hope somewhere somebody like just hits like just one person.
Of
Just
course,
one.
It's
that's why we do
definitely
it. That's the goal.
If
You hit me. I cried
I know.
3 times.
A few times,
I'm
yeah.
like, Jesus.
If you were
I'm like looking at Nick, like wipe my tears away. I'm like, I can't even look at her.
because I didn't want to get emotional because I know if I do, I'm a softie. So
I'm a fucking
if you are-
crybaby anymore.
if you are that one person watching, I want you to reach out to Taylor, let her know, hey, I'm that one person.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would love it.
You know.
absolutely.
it.
One last question. So actually, a few questions. What's I thought of one as soon as I thought
One
about
last
this
question,
one.
but I got 5 more.
Yeah, but I
So, in terms of your advocacy, what are your goals for that? Like, what's your next step? What do you? I mean, like.
So that's what I'm trying to work on. That's what I'm not really sure. Like,
you made the first step of
I made the
reaching
first
out and
step of
doing this.
reaching out, trying to get my story out there. I tried to, I made my, Instagram public. I try to post a lot of my Facebook stuff public. All my breast cancer stuff is public. I make sure that
Good.
is out there for
Plug
everyone to see.
your Instagram. What is it?
Taylor_Dipasquale.
There you go.
Yep.
All right.
Same.
Dipasquale.
I knew that's how you said it.
But
I was gonna correct you if you got it wrong. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no. Thanks.
Yes.
But yeah, just I don't
Just
Day
know.
by
kind, of, just
day.
kind of finding
Day by
your
day.
lane
Yeah.
and
I think
Yeah.
she should focus more on like taking care of her body.
Yes.
right.
I do.
She pushes
I'm
her shit off all the time.
I'm
So
trying.
She puts
I'm getting
everybody else
there.
before.
We're gonna check
I
up on you.
do.
We're gonna check up on you
I do.
now.
I
Please
definitely
do.
definitely
Help
put
me
my
out.
family. I put everyone before me, and I am recently trying to get into getting all my shit
You
together.
can't fill anybody else's cup until you fill your own.
I know.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's
Huge.
I realize that.
it also it's important.
Takes time though.
Exactly, and it's important that yes, you're a good person, but you realize, okay, let me take care of myself, and exactly what Paige said, she's 100% correct. Like you can't help another person until you help yourself, right?
You'll
'Cause-
burn yourself out,
right,
I've been there.
and then they won't have you.
exactly,
It's-
yeah, exactly.
Very hard.
And also too, like what's I have a question for each of you as well, and we'll wrap it up. But what's one thing, or what's the best piece of advice that you've learned throughout your journey? What's something you've come away with that has truly become a foundation of your life and the way you think and who you are, just from all this craziness?
So mine would literally be take it day by day. Like, because like we touched on
Yeah.
before, every day is different.
Right.
Anything could be
You're
thrown
only-
your way.
Yeah, I would agree with her because like, literally every day we're getting hit with some new shit,
Mm-hmm.
and
Whether
and you learn
it's-
from it too. Like every day every day you get hit with something new.
But you got to
And it
learn how to
just-
like handle it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I told him, you wake up, you say it's gonna be a good day, you try your hardest for it to be a good day. It's gonna most likely be a good day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stuff might get thrown at you, but you just gotta take it little by little. You don't look too much into the future, even though that's what we all do, obviously. But just try to settle in now, like in the moment, and not so much
don't
worry
focus
about.
so much
yeah,
on the
'cause
future.
that's when it gets chaotic.
Yeah, focus on the now.
And I think that goes a long way because people thinking, like, a lot of people look big picture. I'm very guilty of that. That's the way I think. I used to think. I used to think big picture, and then you never really because once you start focusing on the little things, like telling yourself good things every day, that's when it starts to become the big picture.
You need to get to those little things to get to that big picture.
Exactly.
And that's where we're at right now. We're just focusing on the little things, and we're at that big picture. We made it, and we're just going to continue just to build our family and our life. Happy and healthy.
I have 2 questions. Nick, I'm going to start with you.
What's up?
So, in regards to being supportive and like putting your as a man too, sometimes you have to put your ego aside and everything to come down and be vulnerable and support her. What piece of advice would you give to somebody, like any guy out there that's going through something that they might have to rely on that support?
When she's happy, you're gonna be happy. So no matter how shitty the situation is, no matter how much it sucks, how much you don't want to do it, at the end of the day, when she's happy and when she's comfortable, that just brings so much joy to your life. So you just focus on that. Don't worry about any other bullshit in your life. Focus on your family.
Happy wife, happy life, right?
Exactly. That.
There you go.
Like literally that.
And then Taylor, so like in regards to being vulnerable, sometimes like, and you even touched upon like not reaching out to him because you didn't want to throw him off when he was away and everything, and you had to hold on to that. What piece of advice would you give in regards to being vulnerable and having that open communication?
I think honesty is the best policy. I think like I said, no one's a mind reader. How else is anyone supposed to know what you're going through, how you're feeling, unless there's an open line of communication?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, I didn't tell him. I didn't want to worry him because he was so far away. And, before I was, what's the word? I didn't share a lot with him. I kept a lot of my emotions inside, a lot of my build up, and then it would just build up, and then I
she
would
just
snap on him.
Bottle everything in.
Yeah,
one
bottle
big
everything.
I used to be like that.
Bottle
big
everything
time.
up, And then I would just snap on him. And then we had conversations. And then, you know, after cancer, it's just, you have to be vulnerable, or your spouse, your partner, your friends, your family, they're not going to know what you're going through. They're going to think you're being an asshole when really you're just dealing with your own issues.
Right.
You got to let them know you're dealing with, or just how you feel. Something so like, hey, I'm not really doing good today, or I'm not doing good this week. Like, just, you know.
And there's always going to be
Space.
bad days, but it's
Yeah.
about the growth too, and getting to that
Exactly.
point. That doesn't, you also don't have a turning point overnight and you're just like, oh, this is how we communicate.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
you have to get to that
learn
point.
every
You
day.
learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whenever you're ready, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like we were together, I don't know, a long time before I got diagnosed with cancer. And then I just started sharing stuff with him after I got diagnosed.
Yeah.
So it takes a long time. Like, when you're ready, that's when you should do it. Like, don't push, don't force yourself. Just when you're ready.
And
Day by day.
it'll
day by
matter
day.
to the right person. You know,
Without a doubt.
you know, it's important.
It does.
It's important who you give your energy to, who you share things with, because, you know, you find the right person, and, you know, here we
Yeah.
are, right?
Everything happens for a reason.
Yes,
Exactly.
truly believe that.
Can you leave us off with that the quote that you have tattooed on you again?
Yeah, it's actually
I want Nick's quote too.
mine's over here.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It goes, I have it over here, and then I have it covering my breast too. But it says, the pain you feel today is the strength you feel tomorrow.
I love
I
that.
didn't say it in here. It's the
that.
pain you feel today is the strength you feel tomorrow.
It's so,
I love that.
I love that
I love that.
so much.
Nick, what was that quote? You dropped a dime earlier, dog.
Which one? To control what you can.
Yeah.
man.
Control what you can, or what you can't control is you.
Love that. I think that's all. I think that's it, right?
Yep. What episode are we on?
50. I think it's just 53.
53.
Damn.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching The Loft. This is Taylor and Nick Dipasquale.
Thank you.
Yes.
Dipasquale.
Dipasquale.
There we go.
So it took me over an hour to get it, but
It's all right.
Episode 53.
I'm Kevin Nichols. It's Paige Pullman, Taylor and Nick Dipasquale.
Yeah.
Peace, guys.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
you.